From our last episode of the story of Esther, we saw how a decree was made because of Vashti's disobedience to her husband the king. Today we shall continue the story by reading our Bible from Esther chapter 2 from verse 1 to 9. And from this passage of the Bible, we saw that when the king's anger had subsided, he remembered Vashti, what she has done, and the decree that was made on her. One of the king's servants suggested to the king that there should be a search for beautiful virgins for the king. He further suggested that the king should appoint officers in each provinces of the kingdom, and these officers will bring out all the beautiful virgins of each of their provinces and take them to the palace in Shushan, and let the ladies be placed under the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, who is in charge of women, and let all these ladies get all that they needed while in the palace. And whosoever pleased the king's heart to become queen among these beautiful ladies shall replace Vashti. This suggestion of the king's servant pleased the king. Now, in the palace of Shushan, there lived a man called Mordecai. Mordecai is a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin. Mordecai is the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish. Mordecai was among those held captive with King Jeconiah, the king of Judah, but was further taken into exile from Jerusalem by King Nebuchadnezzar. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, who was also known as Esther. Esther had no father, no mother. That is, her parents were dead. Because of that, Mordecai took Esther as his own child. Esther was fair and beautiful. When the news of the king's decree in searching for a beautiful virgin got to everyone, a lot of maidens were kept under the custody of Haggai, the custodian of women in the palace of Shushan. Esther was also brought to Haggai, and when Haggai saw Esther, immediately he saw her. He was pleased with her, and she obtained favor before him. Haggai gave Esther all she needed for a stay in the palace. And because of the favor Esther found before Haggai, he selected 7 maids. Haggai selected 7 maids from the palace and assigned them only to Esther. He also moved Esther and these maids to the best place of the house of women. What a favor Esther had gotten. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Well, we'll find out what unfolds as the story continues. We have 2 questions from today's episode. Question 1, who is Esther to Mordecai? Question 2, what is Esther doing in the palace of Shushan? From our last episode on the story of Esther, we saw how Esther found favor before Haggai, the custodian of women, in the palace of Shushan. Today we'll see what unfolds from the story by reading our Bible from Esther chapter 2 from verse 13 through to 23. And from this passage of the Bible, we saw that Esther hasn't revealed her nationality or background to anyone because Mordecai asked her to do so. And Mordecai, on the other hand, goes round every day in the women's court to know how Esther was doing and what will become of her in the kingdom. Now, before any of these maidens goes to see the king, each of them had to complete 12 months of beauty treatment prescribed for women. 6 months will be for oil of myrrh, while the other 6 months will be for perfume and other purification. So after 12 months, each of them goes to the king, and whatever they wanted from the house of the women will be given to them to take along while going to the king's palace. So as the manner is, each maiden goes to see the king in the evening, and by morning they return to another part of the house of women, headed by Shashgaz. Shashgaz is also the king's chamberlain. Shashgaz is in charge of the concubines. And after seeing the king, none of them were permitted to return to the king unless he is pleased and call the particular maiden by her name. When the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who became Mordecai's daughter, when her turn came to go see the king, she requested nothing to take along with her except what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, suggested for her to carry. Esther obtained favor before everyone that saw her. So on the 10th month and the 7th year of King Ahasuerus' ruling, Esther was taken to go see the king, and the king loved Esther above all other women. She obtained grace and favor above all other virgins. The king set a royal crown on her head and made her queen in replacement of Vashti. The king made a great feast, a feast on Esther among all his officials. He proclaimed holiday throughout all his provinces and gave gifts according to his royal liberty. Now, when the virgins were assembled for the second time, Mordecai sat in the king's gate, and Queen Esther had not yet revealed her nationality and background to anyone. Even as a queen, she still obeys the instruction of Mordecai, her adopted father. While at the gate, Mordecai overheard the conversation of two of the king's chamberlain, Bigtan and Teresh, who were angry and plotting to assassinate the king. Mordecai told Esther about the plot, and Esther reported it to her husband, King Ahasuerus, giving credit of this information to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found out to be true, Bigtan and Teresh were hanged on a gallows, and all of this were written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. The story continues. We have two questions from today's episode. Question 1: what year was Esther made queen? And question 2: why haven't Esther revealed her nationality and background to anyone?